All right, we're back. It's the Hot Action Podcast, and I don't have a lot of time this week, so I'm going to do this fast and dirty. Let's review over what happened last week and go over our bets for this week. Gonna say, results last week were not good. We went 5-8, and we dropped 2 season standings. 64 and 57 on the season, still kind of respectable. 7 games above 500, but we were doing better last week. We are now 36th out of 92 on the year, on the season, and we are going to try to remedy that. So we are going to go picks. We are going to go week 8. We're going to talk about what we did last week. All right, not a good start. We picked Minnesota plus 3.5. They got absolutely dummied by 27 points. That's an L. We took Cincinnati minus 6.5. They lost straight up 39-38. That's an L. We took Carolina plus 7.5 because we thought, scrappy Carolina at home, they could probably keep it within a score. They did not. They lost 40-9. Buffalo absolutely kicked their teeth in. That's an L for your boy. One I got right. We took Houston minus a half point. San Francisco couldn't really get anything started. Houston's defense was stifling. They would win 15-26. There's a dub. We took Giants plus 7.5. And, I don't know how to say this, but Scatterbo, his ankle went the wrong way. And, the refs were trying everything to make sure Philadelphia won that game. I'm very upset. It all went Philadelphia's way, but Zach Bond did not get penalized for an obvious hip drop tackle. My boy Cam Scattyboo is going to come back next year. Stronger than ever, I hope. But that was just an absolutely devastating loss for myself, of course, and Big Blue Nation. Prayers up for Cam Scattyboo. This is something we'll be monitoring going forward. Then we took New England minus 6.5. That was a dub, a rare dub last week. They would win 32-13 at home over Cleveland. The unusual for last week, but the thesis was correct. Cleveland on the road is not as effective. And also, New England's offense is pretty good. Cleveland's defense got 5 sacks, and they still lost this game horribly. Pretty crazy. All right. Then we said Chicago against a no Lamar Baltimore plus 6.5. That didn't work. They lose 16-30. Another loss for me. And then we said, well, Miami's in a tailspin. Why not bet on Atlanta? They did well last week, and now they're at home. Guess what? They lose 34-10 against Miami, and Miami, maybe they're competent all of a sudden. It's hard to say. Then we've got Tampa Bay minus 4.5 over New Orleans. Well, that worked. New Orleans is one of the worst teams in the league. They scored 3. Tampa Bay scores 23. Tampa covers. Your boy collects a win. Then we took Dallas plus 3.5 over Denver. Unusually poor outing for Dallas's offense. Denver's defense is quite stifling. Denver does win 44-24. Easily covers the 3.5 point spread. And here's one I was fairly confident in, and it worked out. We got Indianapolis minus 14.5 against Tennessee. That was a dub for your boy. Indianapolis win 38-14. Easy money. And then, of course, we took Pittsburgh at home plus 3.5 against Green Bay. In the first half, it looked like that bet was good. Pittsburgh was playing the game at their pace. They scored a lot of field goals. Green Bay couldn't get anything going. But in the second half, Green Bay turned on the afterburners and kicked the crap out of Pittsburgh. They would win 35-25 and cover. Bad bet by your boy. And then finally, we took Kansas City minus 10.5 at home against Washington. They would win 28-7 and get me to a 5-8 final score for the week. Not terrible, but there's a lot of red on the screen. We'd like to see a better result next week. So we move on to week 9. Then we got, starting out the week tonight, Baltimore versus Miami. Miami's getting 7.5 points at home. I'm taking Baltimore. I think Miami is a worse team than the Bears. I think Miami's probably feeling themselves after getting their second win of the year. Baltimore has been all over the place, but I think that they are coming back. I think that they're going to have a respectable finish to the season. I think they'll be fighting for a playoff spot. That might just be crazy. That might be cope. That might be conservatism because I said it at the beginning of the year. I want it to be true. Hard to say. We will monitor this, but we're betting on Lamar this Thursday night. These games can be pretty chaotic, but we're going to take Baltimore here. Then we got Denver at Houston. Denver's getting 1.5 on the road. This is very strange to me. I'm taking Denver. Denver has 6 wins. They're getting points. I don't understand what's happening here. This is going to be a game, though, where not many points are scored because Denver and Houston both have absolutely stifling defenses. This may be one of the type of games where it's decided by a defensive score. That's all I have to say about that. We are going on San Francisco at Giants. Giants are getting 2.5 points at home. Yeah, it's tough to say. San Francisco didn't look great last week. I think with a good defense, Giants at home. Dart is playing well. We're going to take the Giants here, but last week was tough. I don't know if I want to be betting on the Giants on the road much more. San Francisco also, having to travel with this, amount of injuries. This San Francisco team is barely hanging on. I'm not sure if we're going to be seeing Mac Jones or the regular quarterback. So, with that in mind, I don't know what to do here, but I'll be taking the Giants. Now we got Indianapolis at Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's getting 3.5 points at home. I don't want to make the same mistake as I made last week. We're taking Indy. Indy's playing too well. Pittsburgh obviously had a little bit of trouble there last week against Green Bay. But there's also I don't know. Pittsburgh tends to finish the year, right around 500 every single year. So I think this is a bet towards Pittsburgh getting to 500. That's what we're going to do here. All right, now we got Carolina visiting Green Bay. Green Bay is giving them 12 points. I think Carolina on the road is a disaster. We're taking Green Bay. It's a tough place to play. This reminds me kind of like when Detroit was on the road visiting Green Bay. I think, this Green Bay team might open up an absolute can of whoop ass on Carolina. We're taking them. Taking them at home. Now I got Minnesota traveling to Detroit. We're taking Detroit, baby. I think Detroit is the best team in the NFC North. I think Minnesota is struggling right now. They have to put J.J. McCarthy back in, and he did not look great to start the year. We'll see what happens, but I'll be taking the team with the pedigree playing at home. Moving on, we got the Chargers and Tennessee. I will be taking the Chargers here. Tennessee is a bad team. They're poorly coached, and they are cowardly under the new coach as well as being poorly coached. So we will not be betting on Tennessee. We will be betting on them continuing their inability to cover games. The Chargers look absolutely ruthless last week against the Vikings. So I'm loving this Chargers team. So moving on. And look above me. I got the Bolt Man up there because of how good they've been doing. So moving forward, we got Atlanta at New England. New England's at home. They are giving 5.5. We're taking New England. I hate this Atlanta team. They're poorly coached. They got a lot of talent on the roster, but they can't do anything with it because they are just a mess. I don't like them. Watching them with Kirk Cousins instead of Michael Penix reminded me of why Michael Penix had the job. I don't know who's quarterbacking this week, and I don't really care. I think New England is going to smoke them. All right. Moving on, we got Chicago and Cincinnati. Cincinnati gets 2.5 points at home. I'll be taking Chicago here. Last week, during the game, Joe Flacco sustained some sort of rib injury. I didn't like the Cincinnati team particularly before that, and I feel like they are, not particularly great, in particularly great shape if their 40-year-old quarterback is injured. This is a bet on the Chicago coaching staff and talent. Cincinnati has a decent coaching staff as well, but everything about them this year is pissing me off, so I'm taking Chicago. Then we have Jacksonville at Las Vegas. Las Vegas getting 3.5 points at home. I don't really care for the Las Vegas home field advantage. It doesn't seem to really exist. I'll be taking Jacksonville. And moving on, we got New Orleans at the Rams. The Rams are dishing 13.5 points. This Rams team is good, home and away. They're one of the best teams in the league. And New Orleans scored 3 points last week. We saw Spencer Rattler leave and be replaced by Tyler Shuck. I don't think it matters. We're taking the Rams. They're good. They're better than New Orleans in every phase of the game. This should be an absolute bare-bottom spanking by the Rams against New Orleans. Moving forward, we got Kansas City giving up 1.5 against Buffalo. Buffalo's getting 1.5 at home. We're going to be taking the home point getters, the home dogs. Just makes sense to me. This is a game that's total coin flip by my estimation. Kansas City is right back to their ass-kicking ways. Those who doubted at the beginning of the year were foolish. And yeah, this is the type of game that Buffalo often wins, and then Kansas City beats them in the playoffs anyway. When the stakes are low, I like Buffalo, especially at home. So that's what we're going to be doing. Now we got Seattle giving 3.5 points on the road against Washington. I'm really liking Seattle right now. As I've said many times, fade all my Seattle bets, but that's what we're doing. We're taking Seattle. Now we got Arizona getting 2.5 points going into Dallas. We're taking Dallas. I know it didn't work last week, but why not? Why not do crazy things? Just do the same things over and over again, and eventually they'll work. That's the saying, right? All right. That's what we got. We're putting in 55 as our tiebreaker, and we're submitting. That was pretty fast this week, and that was the goal. That means we are done here. Hot Auction Podcast out. If you get value from this, like and subscribe. See you next week. Peace.